Your prerequisite is TimeMaker Matrix Lesson 8, Load Leveling Part 1, Emails and Messages. In this tutorial, we will go over an additional way to work with work leveling by taking a look at the Show Calendar Items icon. Clicking this button shows a bar display of the calendars of all the performers which you have a right to view. You can see what their day looks like in terms of their scheduling. The basic idea is to give a quick way to show the loads meetings create, so when one assigns a production item to you or to others, it is done with full view of the actual load the performer is confronting for that day, week, etc. And so it makes sure the performer is not overloaded. For example, if someone has a very full day of meetings and appointments, you might not want to assign him a lot of tasks for that day. To understand how this works, before we continue, we'll need to take a look at the calendar user's legend. It assigns every user you have a right to view a certain color. Clicking this icon here automatically creates a regeneration of colors for each user. We click it, it says, do you want to regenerate user's color by random values? We say yes, and it does. Clicking on one of the squares to the left of a username opens a color selection tool. For example, we clicked on the square of Adam Green. Now, whatever color we select will be Adam Green's color. We click green and OK. And now Adam's color is green. The matrix's calendar view, in essence, is a display of the number of hours of work or meetings scheduled for that day for that person according to color. So voila! You can look at the calendar user's legend here, find a performer and his or her color, in this case Adam's, and we can see on the matrix calendar how many hours of his day are already taken up. Now a few points on how the setup of the calendar is displayed on the matrix. Here to the left is shown the hours of the day. It's 8 o'clock, 13 or 1 o'clock, and 18 or 6 o'clock. In other words, it shows the workday. Every block is a direct representation of what hour of the day is taken up with meetings, appointments, etc. Also notice these little numbers. They say the total number of hours which are scheduled in appointments on that person's calendar for that day. So Adam's day on the 27th has 9 hours scheduled. Interesting, huh? Now, the pull-down menu gives the following options. Show calendar items double height. This is selected by default. When unselecting this option, the height and size of the calendar on the matrix reduces. This can be used when working on a small screen, for example. Now we'll put it back to how it was, and next is paint calendar as bars. This option presents all the day's appointments as a bar indicating the accumulation of the overall time assigned to appointments for that day, rather than showing the appointments as blocks of time at the exact time of the appointment. In other words, you can see how much time is set aside for appointments for the day. It just doesn't display it according to the actual time of appointment. Instead, it shows it as a bar. The bigger the bar, the more time on appointments. Now we'll unselect this option, and next is Show Calendar in First Row. To understand this, we'll have to go to the Messages button and select it. And now remember from the past lesson that if we say Show Messages in First Row, it will put the messages in the first row. Now back to the Calendar button, and if we go Show Calendar in First Row, it puts the calendar in the first rows. Do you see? Now again, we'll unselect this option and we'll hide the messages. And finally is Join All Calendars in Group. While this option is selected, all calendars of all selected performers will show in one box on the column for dates where things are scheduled. See? All 3 calendars bunched together on one calendar day, and they're represented separately, and you can tell which is which based on the colors. Unselecting this option takes it back to the default setting and will create one box for each performer's calendar for that day in its column. And that concludes TimeMaker Matrix Lesson 9. Your next recommended lesson is Overall Load Leveling, Lesson 10. See you there.